Oof, it is cold. All right, guys, how's it going? I look like a fisherman right now, but I had to bundle up a little bit. It is cold out. Again, I took out the GR Supra, and so I know a lot of you guys have been following me from the GX content, and I want to say thank you for that. A lot of influx of new subscribers. We are so close to 1K. Hopefully when this video comes out, we'll hit 1K subscribers, and that was one of my big milestones I had. And so we're almost there. But essentially I wanted to take out my GR Supra to kind of switch it up for today. Now in 2022, I purchased this in July, and now it is 2025. And one of the videos that seemed like it did pretty well was my ownership experience on the GR Supra. What's it like owning it? You know, are there any weird pros? Are there any weird cons, quirks and stuff like that nature? And so in this video, I wanted to describe to you all of my ownership experience thus far from 2022 to 2025. Some of you guys know that in 2025, this year, Toyota announced they made a final edition of the A90 platform. Throw a picture up right here. And it has Recaros, it has all these cool things, a GT4 wing. And essentially, it seems like the Mark V platform is gonna come to an end. And so maybe it's your time to snag one of these. And so if you are a interested buyer, hopefully this video helps you out. If you are a existing owner, comment down below how has the Mark V platform been treating you so far. But yeah, that's the topic of this video. Pros, cons, and weird quirks about the A90 Supra. Oh my gosh, it is freaking cold out. So let's start talking about the cons, because that's what people really care about. And I have a couple things I want to talk about. One exterior, one interior. Surprising, the list is short. But let's talk about the exterior. So about after I came from the Tail of the Dragon, if you guys haven't seen that video series, I'm gonna pop it up right here. After I came back from the Tail of the Dragon, which is a 10-hour drive from Illinois to Kentucky, Carolina, Tennessee area, the Supra did phenomenal on that trip, by the way, but all of a sudden it popped up a notification on my dash saying I was low on coolant. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this is one of those BMW quirks that I'm gonna put into the con bucket that really surprised me. For me, coming from a Toyota Lexus platform, granted, they're like, you know, everyday traffic, worries me that coolant needs to be added. In my opinion, any type of reduction of fluid, whether it's oil, coolant, or even windshield wiper fluid, that is a worry to me, because it shouldn't be doing that, at least from my nature, from my understanding of like car platforms. And so I opened up the coolant cap, I checked, it was essentially bone dry. Now, if this is happening to you, you are going to use this coolant, throw it up here, and fill it up to the recommended line, close the tank, and you're good to go. Car started up fine, I'm going on about my life just normal. I did read on the forums that it does happen from our BMW brethren across the other side in the Beamer Club. And a sheer sign of your coolant leaking is when you check on your coolant cap, it has a white residue around that area. For me, when I checked, there was no white residue, and so that was a good sign that it wasn't leaking. However, it was kind of weird that I still lost basically all my coolant when I looked inside the coolant reservoir. So that's a con. All right, guys, let's move on to the interior of the car. Now, generally, the interior is actually pretty nice. You have these nice leather, you have some carbon fiber on your, I was gonna say Prindle, but your gear shifter, your iDrive system. Fun fact, BMW is getting rid of this knob iDrive system for your gear shifter, and apparently they're going to touchscreen. I don't know how that'll turn out, because in my opinion, this iDrive is actually fairly intuitive. It takes some time to get used to, but it works. So why am I inside the A90 Supra? What is the con inside this car? Well, stepping away from the piano black and dust accumulating, which is why I'm cleaning off, my biggest gripe on the interior of the A90 Supra after owning it is the infotainment. I mean Apple CarPlay. So I have an iPhone, and you're probably asking, well, what the F are you complaining about? I want to switch to an Android. You know, there are a lot of other devices I want to switch to. I want to get an Android, but I have to always step back and think, oh my gosh, my life's ecosystem is now embedded into Apple. And although you can swap out your AirPods and your Macs and all of those devices, you can't swap out the infotainment in your A90 Supra because it only comes in Apple CarPlay. It really does bother me that they didn't consider supporting Android Auto as well. Now, I understand that the market share of Android Auto might be smaller compared to Apple, but it does limit you into what device you can own. And so, small gripe, I can't switch over to Android because essentially this infotainment screen is basically, like my rear view camera. That's it. Another gripe I have about this car is the steering wheel. Now, I've been in a couple different cars, and the steering wheel on the A90 Supra compared to its competitors within this price point is kind of embarrassing. I've been in a BMW M2, and that has a nice, like, girthy black steering wheel, very premium feeling. And when I sit in this car, it's very thin, and it feels like they took the steering wheel off a RAV4. Now, I know that because my partner has a RAV4, and sometimes when I'm driving it, it's like, it's like my Supra wheel. And maybe I might be a little bit overkill on this, but it is a problem because when you get in your car, the first touch point and the primary touch point, other than the gear shifter, is your steering wheel. And having that luxury feeling of like a thick, girthy wheel that fills out your hand feels a lot more premium, especially for a 50K car. I just wish they added a different steering wheel, made it more girthier. I don't know, but it feels kind of cheap in my hand. Now, I do understand the argument that a thinner steering wheel, your hands can wrap around it, you have more control, maybe, but I would rather have a thicker steering wheel that, feels a little bit more premium and luxury in my hand. And so I am highly, highly considering to remove the steering wheel and swap it out to something else later down the line. Other than that, interior is fine. The blind spot on this car is pretty annoying. And if you look at this car, right, it has these nice curves and body lines. And when you go out to the rear, you have these nice hips that extrude out. In my opinion, rear shot is one of the best shots of this car because these hips really do accentuate the sportiness and modernality, is that a word, of the car. However, the con of adding those body lines and accentuating hips is that when it comes to the C-pillar right here in the back, you have such a massive blind spot, especially on the driver's side looking over to the passenger and the driver's side looking over to the driver's side over your shoulder. So that is a problem. Now, this car does come with other packages like blind spot monitoring, cross traffic sensors and stuff like that, and heads-up display. But I think you do have to pay for those additional add-ons. And so if you're getting a base model of this car, I would highly advise you to consider buying a little bit more up because you have that Toyota Safety Sense, which is all of that sensors and all that. Because there's been many times where I have tried to merge lanes and I didn't see the car in my blind spot, and there's no way I could have, no matter how much of like a shoulder lean I put out, because of these massive hips obscuring my vision when driving the car. And so that's kind of a con. In order to like defeat that, just get, Toyota Safety Sense package. Don't get the base model. Now let's talk about the good stuff. Why you want to buy the Supra. In my opinion, when it comes to this price point of 50 to 55K, really 52 to 55K and onwards, there's a lot of things you can buy for your money. During COVID, I bought this car at MSRP, and that is probably the reason why I bought this car. Actually, a little bit under MSRP. I wouldn't have bought this car if it was over because there's so much cross shopping you can do in this market of 52 to 55 and onward. However, when it comes to the Supra, I feel like this platform of the A90 with the B58 is the best bang for your buck in terms of driving dynamics, power, and just visual design. Now, other cars in this market are Porsche Cayman, Corvette C8. I'm not even going to put the new Z in this market because those cars don't sell at all. And that's really about it. Now, for a two-door sports car, actually I'm throwing the M2 as well. For a two-door sports car that has such striking looks and such good driving dynamics, this probably is the best bang for your buck out there, at least right now. All right, let's talk about trunk space. So, in my opinion, the Supra has more than enough trunk space for the average individual. Now, you have to understand cars in this market and the trunk space that it offers and how the Supra stacks up. In my opinion, the Supra, in terms of sheer usability, besides just numbers on paper, this is more than enough for your average 2+2 configuration. I've taken this car daily driving. I have taken this car on massive Costco hauls, you know, Tail the Dragon, 10-hour road trip, and filled this trunk, and it was more than enough. Now, the thing I like about the Supra is that it is a liftback configuration, as well as there is a pass-through in the middle. So you can essentially, when driving, just reach over your shoulder, grab stuff, or grab stuff like this when driving. And so you have easy accessibility into compartments of your trunk. And on top of that, the depth of your trunk is very usable. I've done many Costco hauls. I've put luggages and suitcases in here, and never have I had a problem closing the trunk. And so if you really think about the other cars in this market, the actual usability behind it and the configuration, I think this trunk space is like pretty decent for a standard 2-seater performance car coupe. Ooh, heavy little latch. The last pro I want to talk about when it comes to the Supra, it's the engine. So I got the 3.0, which comes equipped with the notorious B58. Now, this B58 is one of the most heavily modded platforms on stock internals because of how much power it can support on stock internals. Downpipe and a tune with some light supporting mods, and you'll get there pretty quickly. 550 to 600 horsepower is easy. And onwards, if you want to put a top mount, you will get there even quicker. If you guys don't know, and there's this event called Texas 2K, which is a drag racing event in Texas. Essentially, it's the Super Bowl of fast cars drag racing down a strip. And the A90 platform has a class of its own, essentially showing the sheer capability of this platform. Now, granted, those cars are heavily modded, but again, it just shows how capable this engine and this platform is on the car. So if you guys are big into straight line speed, probably the 3.0 B58 is for you. However, if you guys are not into, a lot of that fast driving and you're more of a canyon carver, but you don't want to shell out 50K, I would honestly consider buying the 2.0. The B48, from what I heard, is even more balanced 50-50 wise because of that 4-cylinder turbo engine. I think it is a newer engine. However, you have more control and the rear end doesn't kick out on you as much because this 3.0 platform is kind of notorious for the rear end kicking out on you on the corners if you're not careful enough. So if you guys are in for straight line speed, get the 3.0. If you guys are more of a canyon carver, really don't care about speed, maybe get a 2.0. It's honestly quicker than a GR86 as well. So there you go. Last thing is the engine. That is basically it. Now, generally the car has been treating me well, and I can argue that some of the cons are a little bit more nitpicky, like the steering wheel stuff. But if you can get over the weird BMW, I would like to say glitches it has on this car is really reliable and stout. It did me well on the 10-hour road trip. It's been doing me well on the 3 years of ownership so far and driving it. And every day when I drive this car, it really is kind of crazy how well responsive, both handling and power this car is. If you guys are cross shopping around, I say do your research. Hopefully this video can help you out in terms of just ownership experience from when I first bought it, which I could throw up the video here, to now. So hopefully this video can help you out there. However, the question still remains, do I recommend you buying the Supra in 2025? I would say yeah. I still say in this market, right, this car is probably the best bang for your buck for fun, for price, and for power. Everything I mentioned before still holds true. B58, 50-50 weight distribution, and visual design. In my opinion, none of the cars in the price point can beat this. Unless you're like a purist of a BMW or Porsche or Corvette or whatever. But yeah, that's really about it. Thanks guys for watching. All of you Supra followers who've been following me on this channel, this video is for you guys, as well as people who are getting into this Supra platform, who are cross-shopping and might want to pick a Supra up. Hopefully this video helped you out. I'm gonna close the video here because it is friggin' cold. New videos are gonna come on the GX. We got a sponsor, which is pretty sick. I'm gonna announce that in the next video. And restoration process has been going well. But other than that, I'm gonna end the video here because I'm cold and I don't know what I'm saying. And as always, I'll see you in the next one. Drive safe. See ya. Peace.